Are we live? Okay. All right, welcome to session 30 of AMA at FinTree. In these sessions, I answer queries of finance students and finance practitioners on a variety of different finance topics. Typically, every session we invite one guest. So today's guest is Mr. Aditya Kelkar. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Aditya sir, can you give us a quick introduction of yourself in terms of what you do and what your background is?
Yeah, first of all, I will thank giving me opportunity to come on this platform and share my views. By qualification, I'm a BCom CS LLB, and then I did my MBA from distant learning school. And apart than qualification, which I generally what I like to introduce myself is beyond qualification is all about the knowledge base which I have, which I carry and which I practice. So fundamentally, I'm not a compliance officer. I'm just a business analyst who try to understand business and work accordingly.
Correct.
So this is my practice I'm into since last 15 years and all.
But you said your education is company secretary.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of CS working in the area of, I think your LinkedIn profile says fundraising, investment banking, M&A and startup handholding, growth strategies and business succession planning. So how did you get into each of these areas?
Yeah. I will say it's a very much just like anything, you can say life science. As kid grows, he start gaining knowledge. Someday after coming out of the influence of his parents, he start thinking independently, provided he is given the privilege of think independently. He start making his choices, own opinions. It's just like any other professional. आप CA हो, मैंने आपका भी प्रोफाइल पढ़ा. It's a very celebrated and very recognized degree in India.
Thank you so much.
And no doubt what is happening, you know what I observed, कि professionals उस degree के CA, CWA, CFA में अटक गए. All these are terminologies. We have got a knowledge base. We have been groomed in a particular fashion कि you have to think in a particular way. But I personally believe that it is a wrong notion altogether. मेरे सामने बैलेंस शीट्स आती है, बिजनेसेस दिखते हैं, ग्रो होते हैं, कोई कोलैप्स होते हैं, पीपल आर स्ट्रगलिंग फॉर लॉट मेनी थिंग्स, मेजरली फंड्स. तो मैं कहूँगा कि सिंस यू हैव गॉट ऑल सच डेटाबेस टू एनालाइज, सो व्हाई आर यू रिस्ट्रिक्टिंग टू GST, रिटर्न्स, एनुअल फाइलिंग्स, डिस्क्लोजर्स? सो व्हाट वैल्यू एडेड you are giving to the industry to grow? Yes, as a qualified professional, I have to do this because I have been taught. I got that knowledge base. I need to guide the professionals, the stakeholders to behave particular way so that you will get the benefits of being disciplined entrepreneurs. It's all about disciplines. तो अगर disciplines follow नहीं करोगे तो definitely you are going to pay for that. You will disqualify for any fundraise.
So you're saying you might be studied, and I think that's true for me also, right? That I was trained to probably file income tax returns or do audit.
Yeah.
But eventually I decided to do, which is a little different than what was my original education. So you're saying whatever opportunities exist, you acquire the knowledge, build your practice around it. Is it what you're proposing? So Aditya, how is the startup fundraising situation today? So I have two questions. One is, what's the current scenario? And second question is, how does that business work? For example, if someone listening to us today is 19, 20-year-old and they're thinking that maybe I can start some sort of organization that helps startup raise money, how does that business work?
Okay. This is most like question, for me, because क्या होता है ना, nowadays when we interact with many enthusiasts, I believe there are certain categories. I generally, mark up the would-be entrepreneurs, I will say. There are few enthusiasts. मुझे कुछ करना है. Then there are certain highly energetic people कि I have got a lot of energy. I am constantly doing something. I want to be engaged. And someone is absolutely passionate and visionary. कुछ भी हो जाए, but he has a vision. He's very fearless. First thing, an entrepreneur should carry in his mind, irrespective of any qualification.
Correct.
So मैं कहूँगा कि ये अगर क्वालिटीज़ अगर आप में हो, यहाँ पे आप उस एंटरप्रेन्योर को या दैट इंडिविजुअल को कैटेगराइज कर पाओगे तो यू विल बी एबल टू प्रिडिक्ट वेदर इट्स अ स्टार्टअप और इट इज गोइंग टू बी पेरिश्ड इन द ड्यू कोर्स. स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम का अगर मैं कहूँगा तो स्टार्टअप्स हैव नॉट डन दैट that they haven't flourished to that extent what we were expecting as the government was expecting.
You mean in terms of the number of startups?
Number of startups is
Because
success
we've
rate.
had few very successful ones as well.
Absolutely, but fundamentally, if you say the startup notion, that particular terminology came surface in 2016 somewhere. क्योंकि उसी वक्त those schemes started, startup incubation cell, startup funds, mudra yojana, all these things. This is, see, government is taking all efforts to foster, to build that narrative amongst the citizens that come and join the economy by adding something more as creating opportunities and employment.
Sure.
Okay, so they are doing their part, but do you really think are we trained since our childhood or from our schooling to take independent decisions, apply what you have learned till the age of 21, 22? We are groomed and trained to become wonderful slaves, a learned slave. कौन बोलता कि जा.
So this is interesting. I'll just bring you back to the question.
Yeah.
So basically my question was, maybe I did not phrase it properly. My question was that let's say I want to start a business helping startups raise money in today's market. What should I do? What should I study? How do I get, because I'm guessing this business has two parts. On one part you need a lot of deals coming your way, so you need a lot of startups talking to you. On the other part you need investors who are willing to invest, right?
Achha.
So how do I break this market? How do I get startups to come and talk to me?
Okay, so we are trying to interpret the consultant's point of view. So consultant's point of view, you're thinking that you are facilitating them.
Sorry,
to get
can you
funds.
clarify consultant versus investment bank? Should that be looked at differently?
Absolutely, definitely.
Okay.
Because I will say consultant builds the grounds so that that enterprise becomes you create that atmosphere within that enterprise that it becomes qualified to get funds.
Understood.
Okay, and then the role of investment banker starts.
Okay.
So
you're saying your role comes probably a stage before investment bankers
Yeah.
get involved? Okay. And what exactly goes into consulting? So let's say someone comes to you probably with a smaller business with large ambition. What kind of consulting do you generally provide?
first of all, as I said, ki all I was telling about our thought process. It's all about thought process we analyze. Okay, if a person is coming to me, I am doing particular activity, say as you said you are into garment business. When you started that particular that chose to start that particular enterprise, that business, आपने क्या सोचा होगा? What return should I expect from my efforts, energy and my invested money?
True.
Only these three factors: time, money and energy. All these are the measures for which you are looking for the adequate reward. And again, that reward is very much a relative concept. It is not uniform. It is not in a particular formula. As you say कि 1x, 2x, 3x in this particular ratio, ये कुछ नहीं रहता है. If you are happy with your efforts and your rewards, then definitely you put in additional investment by time, money and energy again. This happens constantly in cycles. It is just like a life cycle. So as I am trying to give your example as for
Yeah, I was telling Aditya sir some time back that after finishing my CA and in fact also CFA, there was a phase in between, I think 9 months to a year, when I decided to run a retail shop. It was called Bachpan Kids Wear. I was selling kids clothing on Lakshmi Road for a bit. I tried that for a while. It was a family business. My mother was running it. Then I discovered it was not for me. So we were just discussing that
Yeah,
story.
sorry, I didn't give that reference. But I'm trying to correlate with startups and their mindset. You stick to that particular ideology, I want to continue. Then even though it is all about that fate, your calculative steps, what you have taken, all the risk what you have taken, that cumulatively will impact whether it will give adequate results what you are expecting or not. that's a very simple, straightforward equation I would figure out. Secondly, since it didn't give you the adequate result what you were expecting, not the market or some other stakeholders, that's why discontinued and shifted to other thing. But again, this particular decision making, this ideology has to be rightly understood while consulting those entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Incubation आपने सुना होगा. When a kid takes birth, if he's not that healthy, you put them in that kid in that child, infant baby, into incubator to make it healthy or sustainable to the outside atmosphere. This is what the in principle was the
Concept of incubator.
concept is. It is same about the entrepreneurs, and it is a very much applicable real life principle that is only the fittest will survive. कितना भी उसे आप पोषण दो, कितना भी उसको जो भी आपको एडिटिव्स देने हैं so that to make him capable, if that breed in itself is weak, sorry I'm putting very harshly, these views might be a bit harsh, but the survival of the fittest is the only one rule a investor will look into while investing. And the investee, if he wants really to continue this life of a businessman, then only he should put his efforts and money to continue that particular activity. This I only try to figure out.
Sure.
वहाँ पे energy और
तो
enthusiasm.
आप देख रहे हो, so you're looking at so you're saying your consulting involves a lot about mentoring the entrepreneur rather than
then picking
the
those
other
particular
aspects, so.
attributes and then analyzing his activity. I'm saying मैं कुछ तो भी करूँगा ना जहाँ से मैं revenue generate करूँगा. Here when you try to interpret anything, it is basic definition of business is it has to be profit.
Sure.
If it is not profiting, no doubt you should to close it out immediately. At least if you are to fail fast. Simple rule. So if you are not able to achieve profits, close it. Take a decision. So this is how we categorize.
Very interesting. So Aditya sir, generally the format of this show is that people, candidates either ask questions on comments or live chat, and then we would try to answer those questions live.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the Q&A session today. I will first take questions we've received on the YouTube video comments from the previous session. Is this the latest one that you've sent me, Aditya?
The one.
29 questions wala na? Okay. So first question is from Shruti.
Day or every
So any particular
alternate day,
newspaper you prefer reading
newspaper
or
and news channels.
news channels, right?
And online there are a number of portals where you keep on those podcasts and all that. You can follow that. But in doing all these things, I will say ki stick to the fundamentals. Economy is driven by very fundamental rules. Haves and have-nots, investors, investees. These pull and push factors, if you understand, it is enough to corroborate your story around it and apply on your personal life first, rather following 10 different podcasts, 10 different authors. This is not going to give you any kind of output.
Okay. I have a slightly different perspective though.
Yeah.
So I think back in the day I used to rely very heavily on newspapers. Then I realized I was consuming a lot of mental bandwidth by probably reading news that I didn't need. So today, to keep myself updated, Shruti, my primary source of information is Twitter. Luckily, I think I've been able to build a good Twitter feed where the quality of content is generally good. B, I use very heavily this thing called Google Alerts. I don't know if you've used it, but you can put in the keywords that you want, and the Google will every time scrape the internet. Every time some new article comes, it will send you a notification. And these days I've been using this platform called Scout Quest.
Okay.
So it's an AI generated platform. What that platform does is you choose the name of the stocks. So mostly for me news is about stocks. So you put in the name of the stocks. Every time there is some new, it's a little bit like Google Alert in a way. But every time there is some new filing on BSC, NSE website or SEBI website, it will download that document.
Yeah.
it will automate. The AI will read. It will create a summary, and it will send you summary on WhatsApp real time. Right. So all the updates that company keeps on doing, whether it's notification, business update, then you keep on receiving it. So generally for me, this works out well. I used to really like listening to these two podcasts. I think one was called Indicator, and the second one was Planet Money, or something like that. Both from Planet Money. This is mostly for US news because you want to keep updated on what's happening there. Anything else you would like to add?
Utkarsh ji, I'll put a very, I will give a very crude but very desi style kind of approach. Since you are yourself a CA, you can say there are fellow other such professions which people are following, just as MBAs, MBA Finance, all these things. Whenever you are doing, when you are doing your training, you are mostly working on transactions. You are trying to understand the transaction, do the right adequate entry. You were knowing how to read the transaction, then the effect of that. If you want to understand finance, you need to understand those transactions and multiple such kind of sectorial transactions. अब वो कहाँ पे मिलेगा? Those are the things we need to find out.
Sure.
Tax guru देख लीजिए. You need to understand the cause and effect. Don't grab or don't try to chase information. Gain knowledge out of it.
Yeah.
क्योंकि कितना भी ढूंढ लो, fundamentals.
Yeah, that is very true. I think there's clear difference between facts and knowledge. Right? Knowledge is not necessarily just knowing facts.
Sir, I will say information, knowledge are two different things. You are today blasted with information.
True.
जहाँ पे भी देखोगे आपको information है. But knowledge में convert करने के बाद, when you apply it, you come to the very basic thing कि this is the usage, this is a cause and resultant. Cause and effect. This, if you are able to decode, you understood the economy.
Sure. Very insightful. We'll take the next question.
Yeah, please.
Next question is, I think Meher is probably taking a pun at me. He says, "Hi sir, you do like 1,000 things every week." Do I say that a lot? How do you manage your time? It would be great for all the students to learn how to maximize productivity. Meher, I wouldn't say I've probably nailed productivity. I might not be the best person to guide you on how to be the most productive. But I'll tell you personally, for me, what works is I go through this series of sprint and rest sessions, right? So sprinting session would typically last for, so currently I'm in the middle of a sprinting session where I'm kind of putting in 14, 15, 16 hours a day continuously. And this might go on for maybe another 2 or 3 weeks where I'll not take a break. And then a rest session would be maybe a 7-day or 10-day where I would not work at all, right? So sprint rest, that has worked for me. Another thing that I've started doing in last few years is just focus on one thing at a time. I realized that trying to do this business, that consulting, this stock and this class, I was not being productive at all. So I just take one thing at a time, and then I make sure that thing gets 100% devotion. Do you have anything you would like to add?
Yeah, as you said, sir, focus is necessary, and focusing on what you are passionate about, focus only on that.
So just one thing at a time.
Only one thing at a time.
Very true. Okay.
And sir, it works while fundraising also. It is as I said, it is very much a psychological study. If you understand the behavior of a company, you need to understand the management. And money is invested on the person, not the product, unless the company is on self-sustainable mode.
So you want that entrepreneur you're funding also to be focused on just one thing,
focus 100% on entrepreneur, because he is the driver of that particular objective, that company. If you understand him, you will understand all the results. It will be reflecting his balance sheets.
Sure. Okay, we'll take the next one. This is coming from Divya. Divya is asking, I'm transitioning from financial operations to equity research ratings. Will CFA help? Okay, I think I'll read the detailed question. I have a 5-year experience in financial operations at a renowned MNC. what should be the roadmap to move into equity research? Considering my experience, will level 1, level 2 help? What do you think about working for KPOs? Do you want to answer that, or should I take this one?
I don't know what
Okay.
exactly trace she is trying to pursue. I need to.
So
She need to elaborate further. I think.
Yeah, that's true. So I think she's working in financial operations right now, 5 years, and she wants to move to equity research. Will CFA help? I think the answer is yes. CFA will definitely help. Is CFA the only thing that will help? No. I mean, see, employers today, they don't obsess too much about certification. It's always about the level of skill you bring on the table.
Absolutely.
Right? But in order to get the conversation started, some certifications like CFA, FRM generally help. So maybe CFA, couple of levels, good understanding of financial modeling, you should be able to make the switch. It will not be easy though, because 5 years in operations, but you would be a fresher in equity research, right? So there might be a pay disparity. It would be a little bit of challenge for you to find your first break. Okay, next.
Here, may I just
Sure.
if she why does she want to have this shift? Is that logic clear? It is just like business analyst. Why do I want this? Is that why rightly answered?
True.
Or is it just a peer pressure?
No, I think in general there's a lot of pressure on operations industry now. Last night itself I was reading, I think JP Morgan has fired some people recently. So a lot of automation is happening.
Yeah.
And a lot of this automation is going to put pressure on people who are working in operations type of roles.
Correct.
Right. So therefore, this is a preemptive move where you don't wait for them to let you go. You start working in advance towards it, which I think makes
Might be
sense.
a case. Yeah.
Okay. Anuj Kumar, question. I'm currently in an assessment process for a role in advisory firm where I've been asked to pitch a stock from a given set of options. I've selected an NBFC, but I'm confused about the valuation part. I was also asked to put less emphasis on financial model. What should I approach valuation of an NBFC? Do you have any experience of valuing
No,
NBFC?
sorry. I can't throw light on that.
Anuj, I'm not an expert on the whole BFSI space, but in general, I think you want to look at, if, for example, if I were to look at NBFC, my focus would purely be on the asset side, because NBFCs don't get, your deposit franchises. So typically wholesale borrowing. So I'll look at the cost of borrowing. I will look at composition of the asset, credit quality of the asset. Generally, there's a number called net income spread that we focus on, right? Which is the difference between yield you get on the asset and the cost you have on the liability. So these are some of the parameters. From a valuation perspective, again, generally price to book type of parameters work out well, right? So that's something you might want to look at.
You can also look into its spread of investment spread. Its investment portfolio rather, and how far the debt side is also.
Sure.
It is
Like,
impacting.
yeah, some part of the assets will have
Yeah.
investments. Okay.
Are those lightweight or heavyweight? Means are those can say major NBFCs are struggling with recoveries and all that, since
Correct.
it has become asset heavy.
Correct.
So you need to understand what kind of deals they have already entered, the term and all about that.
Sure. Do we have any more questions coming in for?
Yeah, like.
Okay, we have live questions now. All right, so I've come live now. Those of you who would like to ask questions, this would be a great time. Divya is asking, thanks for finally answering my question. Yeah, it was her who was commenting on the, okay. What do you think about working for KPOs? Not bad. I think KPOs are all right. See, at the end of the day, you're doing work for a client, either on the client's role or KPO's role, right? So more than who's the employer, my focus would be more on what is the quality of the profile. So that's the general framework. Mayuresh Rassam is asking question for you. Mayuresh says, my question is for Aditya sir. Is funding and incubators available for startups for mining and refinery businesses, especially for lithium, where startup needs to bid at mining license? I have no idea about this. You have
Yeah. No, lithium means there are lot many companies looking forward towards lithium battery manufacturing and all that. But still, there is a raw material, means they are struggling with getting the procurement of the raw material. That in industry is quite into revolution. It is a new industry for India. But getting a mining license, I hardly believe.
yeah, I mean
Yeah, is
incubation.
yeah. How can incubator helping you into that?
Yeah, I mean I see
Yeah.
again. I don't know the
How is
nuances.
it connecting with mining license? I'm unable to understand that particular
Maybe
thing.
he's thinking he'll get into an incubator and ask try for a
I
mining
think
license.
I think so. This business model is to be tested on very ground. What are the basic understanding is to be put into to start with this business. Resources is the main thing. We should look
True.
into that.
All right, Tanish has just asked a question. Tanish says, my CFA level 1 is on 21st. Any last minute tips? I've been getting average of 75 mocks. Are these good? Yeah, I think 75 is fairly good. I'm assuming these are FinTree mocks. So I think our cutoff for passing candidates is somewhere in that ballpark. So I think you're doing all right, Tanish. In terms of last minute tips, I think at least for me, I'll tell you what mindset. I recently told this to my level 3 students. Till the time you're preparing for the exams, the mindset should be that this is the end of the world. This is the only thing that matters to me in life. But moment I leave my house for going to the exam hall, my mindset would be that it's like a game of sport, and I'm going to just have fun and enjoy the process rather than thinking too much about what happens. So just keep your cool when you walk into the exam hall, because if your mindset is that I'm worried or it's not going to work, your body is going to release sorry different type of hormones, right? It's going to make things all the more difficult. But if the mindset is that I'm excited, I'm going to have fun, then automatically the quality of learning would be better. All right, let's take some more. Aditya sir, this question for you by Rahul Thakre. He says, you said survival of the fittest in Indian business ecosystem. What are the signs of a fit business, excluding profitability? For example, jewelers or real estate or pharma. Okay, what do you think is a sign of a
Except
fit
for
business?
jewelers, real estate and
No,
farm.
he said excluding profitability. What other signs do you look for to understand that the business is fit?
Okay. So rather, my statement was whether the driver, that is the entrepreneur, is fit, rather than his business will be just mirror image of that. So in that case, how far definite about you are about your things, what you have chosen to do in your life? Either it is as you are elaborating about exam also. It's all about mindset, what you are carrying going while going to the exam. It is not you are supposed to be qualifying for someone. You have to be so much perfect, so much confident, so much definite about what you have learned, and may let the industry understand your mindset and let them adjust as per your
But are there
thought
any,
process.
sorry, cut you in between. Are there
Yeah.
any quantitative metrics when I look at businesses that tells me that maybe this business has a better strength than other competitors? Anything that comes to your mind? Generally, I look for some of the numbers I look at. One is gross profit margin, because that gives me a sense that, and I'm thinking purely from listed company perspectives. That's where I spend a
Okay.
lot of time. So when I look at a high gross profit margin, it tells me the brand has a very strong competitive positioning.
Exactly. But to what extent, what size of business is talking about? That is a major thing. If you're talking about startup, micro, mid-size organization, which is hardly you can say 50 crores, 60 crores, 10 crores, 20 crores, or hardly you're trying to struggle with your basic meeting the basic your expenses, operational expenses. If you are not meeting your basic operational expenses, then I feel that you should really take a call about whether to continue or not. This is the first thing.
So basically, you're saying the most important parameter should be the
The
profitability.
profitability, absolutely.
Okay.
And are those costs within your estimated parameters, what you had estimated or projected? Means that will give you insight about your predictive analysis about your own business.
Insightful. Okay. Uh, Rabiu Sabu Ahmad. I'm working 9 to 5. My level 1 is May 25. Any tips that will guide me cover the syllabus? What should I do or read more? Rabi, you finish your syllabus as early as you can, preferably 2 months before the exam. I'll strongly encourage you to look at my crash course. The free version is from 2021 on YouTube, and the latest version is available on the FinTree website that you can have a look at. Do the crash course, write a lot of mocks, 7 to 10 different mocks. I think that should be good enough. Practice questions from learning ecosystem. All right, Harshal. Does data analytic go well with FRM? I'm doing part 1, no science, no coding background. Answer is yes, Harshal. I think generally a lot of FRM profiles are with these large banks and institutions focused on risk management. A lot of them actually require you to work with large volumes of data, right? So having data analytical skill and FRM, I think generally will work out as a great combination. This question is for you, sir. This is from Rajiv Mishra. Rajiv is asking, banks do not fund startups. What is the best way to do startup fundraising today? For example, and this is a good question actually. Let's assume that I'm an entrepreneur, I have a good idea, but I need some initial seed capital to get started. Where can I go? To whom should I go asking for money?
First of all, you should be confident whether you have to really pursue that. You should fund your own idea first of all.
Done.
Ideation
So
fund
let's
is to be coming from yourself.
I'll be the entrepreneur, you're the consultant. So yes, I'm confident that I can do it, but I don't have capital to do it.
I don't have capital. It is a really bit unrealistic question. You do have capital.
Okay.
You have to shell out of your pocket. There is nothing is free. You have to either look out.
But let's say something. Okay. Let me.
You're
rephrase it,
absolutely
right?
broke and you want to start business. This is bit impractical and unrealistic
So let's
situation.
say I want to do a business which requires capex of maybe 30-40 lakhs. I can put in 20 lakhs from my own pocket, but I still need help with additional 10-15 lakhs.
Okay.
Where can I go now?
First of all, you should be looking around your near and by FNF.
So friends and family. Right.
Because if you are able to, you convincingly do some churning out of that, or at least build your capital base to that extent that you can definitely say that yes, my
so the first people you go to is always the
FNF,
friends and family.
Friends
right?
and family.
And let's assume friends and family is exhausted. Are there any government schemes or are there any options where I can
definitely there are means government quite supporting to the startups by Mudra Yojana, then skill development programs, then sectorial specific schemes are also there. For women empowerment also there are a lot of schemes wherein you can approach, you can present your business model, get to some incubation, get qualified for that scheme by presenting your business model. No doubt that business model will be really tested at that time. It is not to just qualify for that scheme, but you have to repay that, you have to do the necessary compliances. Because few people only work for getting that fund, government schemes, but later on again they get broke. This is what generally happens with startups, because the failure rate has somewhere hitting towards 90% for the failure of startups.
So you're saying out of 100 startups, 100 companies that start, 90
fail, and their failure is low. Yeah, and their failure time lapse means it mostly they end up within first 3 years itself.
So you're saying no investor would want to put in money at very early stage unless the promoter has some significant background.
Significant, and your business model should be really hitting that you should know your TAM. Your GTM should be very much ready with you.
Can you explain those terms for us? TAM, GTM?
Your total addressable market you should be knowing. When you know your addressable market, that means what's supposed to be your selling, that you know it very clearly. And how to sell that particular mechanism is rightly established in your company by exhausting, by utilizing your resources, that is money. Then definitely, if you, despite of that, you you don't succeed, or you are into ending up into losses or operational losses, I will say still you are doing quite fine. Then I will say your investments, your own company are rightly utilized. Okay, so if you are able to understand,
So get your
that,
TAM right.
very right.
Then you use one more term you said.
Go to market strategy.
GTM or go to market strategy. What does that require exactly?
Again, it's all about knowing what you are supposed to be selling. More knowledge about what you are supposed to be doing and how you are supposed to be selling, then definitely you can predict your, no doubt, upcomings. That is your overall consumption of costs, cost consumption, operational expenses. Revenue is supposed to be the just resultant of that.
Sure.
And that you should be very much clear and should be very much critical while understanding, analyzing those things. GTM, TAM, and you're all about expenses.
Got it. All
और
right.
एक चीज़ मैं थोड़ा सा ऐड करूँगा. We were working on few Reliance projects. Okay, we had a wonderful experience while discussing with their CFOs or few such companies, small refinery subsidiaries. They were always very keen to know खर्चा कितना हुआ है. खर्चा कम हुआ है तो ज़्यादा क्यों नहीं. These were very strange statements which we felt कि ये खर्चा क्यों पूछ रहा है. There where the secret was, आप खर्चा कैसे करते हो, कितना करते हो, किस चीज़ के लिए करते हो. अगर आपको वो मालूम है, if it is assessed, if it is rightly structured, definitely your revenues are just a resultant of that.
Very true, I agree.
खर्चा बढ़ाओ, पैसा आएगा. It is all about funding also. पैसा डालो.
A lot of times you're right in saying that, and I believe in that philosophy, by the way, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs believe I will have this revenue, and by virtue of that, I would be afford to spend this much money. A lot of times, I have experienced in last 15 years, you need to spend first in order to get that revenue. So a lot of time, your spending is going to determine what type of revenues you might get.
In our also life, when you take the next big step in your career, as that Shruti, I think so, she was asking, should I go for KPO, right?
Right.
If your career graph, career structure, architecture is not understood by yourself, then the market is going to dictate that architecture to you. You have to be master of yourself. What is my design? What is my career graph? How is my career architecture? आप रियल इस्टेट में देखते हो, you come across foundation. The foundation is knowledge base, but the architecture and the design has to be structured by you. Then it is refined and corrected by the architects. But fundamentally, you should know what's the design of my career, my life goal.
Sure.
It is same just like investors also. They look into आपका accuracy level कितना है, how far accurate you are about perception, analyzing and predicting about your own things. Rest is just a process.
We should have a different session with you someday just on mindset. Because it looks like somehow you tend to connect everything with...
सर, दौड़ने वाले घोड़े पे पैसा लगाएंगे, सादा है. जो बैठा ज़्यादा सोच रहा है, आई डोंट वांट दोज पीपल. दौड़ने वाला पैसा घूमता है. मनी ऑलवेज रन्स. इट इज़ नॉट आइडल. एंड इट इज़ आइडल, यू आर मनी मार्केट पर्सन. इट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू पे गिव यू बैक. मनी का नेचर समझो, अंडरस्टैंड द नेचर ऑफ मनी. इट इज़, पैसा हमेशा चंचल होता है. इफ़ यू आर नॉट अजाइल, if you are not quick, if you are just lethargic and expecting someone to tell you and give you money or fail in understanding the nature of money, you are not going to earn anything. There will be not a single bug in your pocket.
Very true.
Money का nature समझ लो बस.
Sure, let me take a few more. Lucas is saying, I have no question. I wanted to say, you're absolute beauty. Okay, thank you very much, Lucas, for the kind words. And good luck for your level 1 exams. Harshal, can you suggest any certifications on data analytics? Harshal, I don't know any. I wish I could give you an answer, but I honestly don't know good certifications on data analytics. Divya, thank a lot for guiding us. Most of us in countries struggle with finding guidance and little perspective goes along. Sure, happy to be of some help, Divya. Aditya Patel, why are traditional SMEs quietly generating cross and revenue rarely highlighted, while startup burning investor cash in the race for valuation received widespread recognition? That's a great question. Uh, you know, I don't know because I think the media always likes stories where there is some level of glamour, right? And what can be more glamorous than burning cash? It is a glamorous thing. But India has also produced a lot of entrepreneurs who are not in the limelight, but they've built phenomenal businesses. I think recently we saw
Zoho.
the ARM, that Zoho, exactly.
Zoho.
We got the Zoho ARM, right? Now, I don't know, Zoho is probably a few $1 billion market cap company and no funding whatsoever. Did not raise fund, did not lose large chunk of money. In fact, he's built this company entirely out of smaller towns
Very true.
in South India, right? And I'm sure there are many more companies like these that we are not aware of.
Very recently come across an article wherein they are saying you can say small term startups are quite more surviving than the startups which are grooming themselves in some metro cities.
Metros,
Why? Because I
that
believe,
culture, cash burning culture, right?
rather I will say here we are quite influenced by the influencers. As he rightly said, it is major into limelight are those success stories. But there are lot many small enterprises that making that success to building that success story. Means just like any industry needs ancillary industries to work around it to make that parent company or that major component company to succeed. It is just like that. We are carried away by just information or by some influencers, but we are not. We have to turn back to the crowd and just focus towards the orchestra. If you have to really have your own narrative about success.
Yeah, I mean the question, yeah, I agree with this. I think question is a lot of people I've seen raise money for the sake of doing it. Is it not true? Like
It's
I've
compulsion.
seen
एक एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ. I will not take much of your time. If you follow that co-working space industry, how it has really exploded in India. If you just pass by Pune Bangalore highway, you will find there are plush buildings loaded with co-working spaces. Now my question will be, is this a really validated business model?
fun fact, I have a similar business. It's not a co-working. We have I think 11 or 12 branches. Similar format, but it's for students.
Okay.
And it's not a good business. Okay, I personally do not like that business model really well because I've realized over a period of time it just rent plus model, right? All these businesses are I'm recovering some level of rent and plus I'm doing some value addition. That goes with hotels, goes with co-working places, everywhere else.
Sir, we did some kind of research. Okay. Maybe I'm not using the trending words, but I will put my research in front of you. Co-working space nowadays is a compulsive model for real estate agency, for real estate sector.
Okay.
There is so much of inventory available in industry that those commercial spaces wherein capital is already engaged and it is heavily loaded with carrying cost. So how we are supposed to utilize that inventory? So they are pushed for the co-working spaces wherein you can get in, you can engage that and you can start generating revenue at least to meet your carrying cost. This is a forced industry.
Yeah, it's a forced industry.
Forced
right?
industry.
Yes.
Wherein we think they are doing such a noble job creating ecosystems. कुछ नहीं है.
No.
They are looking for to mass lease out model है. You have to lease out the asset, get that revenue, add something on that, and build that successful revenue plus model to accommodate your outflow, that is carrying cost of that particular capital. It's nothing more than that.
See, it's a good model. Imagine if the problem with office space is always economies of scale, right? For example, I'm a individual operator.
Yeah.
I can't afford to have a 10,000 square feet, but I will be happy a small corner in a 10,000 square feet. So if there are too many people like this in an economy where everyone is working by themselves, then co-working as a model makes a lot more sense from a first principle basis. I think what a lot of co-working companies are doing today is they're going to guys like JP Morgan or Infosys and TCS and saying, hey, will you buy my 100 seats? Right now, person sitting at TCS will do the same math that what if I lease it myself?
Correct.
Right? What would be the cost? Obviously, there would always be a limitation on how much profit you can charge on it. So a lot of your profits with time will be eaten away by your vacancy cost.
Correct.
So to me, this whole business model does not make a lot of sense in the long run. I think
Again,
which
I
is
say
what
it's
you're
a
also
compulsive
saying.
business model.
Yeah, you're saying the same thing. Good. All right, we'll take last question for the day and then we will wrap it up. This is question from Harshal. I've heard that many people working after CFA Level 1 can get an entry-level job after passing FRM Level 1. You have to pass both the levels. Why do you have to do both the courses in the first place? It's very simple, Harshal. If you want, नहीं मेरे से हो गया ये. So if you want to work specifically in risk management, study FRM. If you want to work in finance in general on investment side, study CFA. Very rarely you need both, right? I mean, see, don't chase degrees. I've been guilty of doing that mistake myself, right? Where I had like spent too much of time on studying and gathering degrees. After a certain period, no one cares about what degrees you hold, right? Like what Aditya sir said, it's about the level of skill you bring and your ability to connect dots on different data points. So just pick one, pass the exam, start working, and that should do the job. So there you go. That's it from our side. Thank you very much, sir, for coming down.
My pleasure.
And we should definitely have someday a dedicated session just on the mindset that we discussed. So thank you very much. All the questions that we couldn't answer today, feel free to post them in the comments of this video. We'll try and do them in the next session. So signing off. Thank you very much. See you next week. Same